Good evening. Welcome to the October 20th, 2014 Troy City Council meeting. We are pleased this evening to have the invocation by Mayor Pro Tem Henderson. If you would please rise for that. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance afterwards.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this another beautiful day that you've given us. We thank you for this great country that we live in and the service that we're allowed to provide for the people. We pray that you will just be with us at this meeting, help us to make good, solid decisions, and pray that you will take us all home safely at the end of the night. Thank you. Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Henderson. City Council meeting is now called to order. The roll call, Ms. Bittner.
Mayor Slater?
Here.
Councilmember Campbell?
Here.
Councilmember Fleming?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Here.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Here.
Councilmember Pennington?
Here.
Councilmember Teets?
I received a phone call this evening for communication from Councilman Teets that he would be absent this evening. So I will move the resolution that the Troy City Council hereby excuses the absence of Councilman Teets at the regular City Council meeting of October the 20th, 2014, due to being out of the county.
Support.
It's moved by the chair, supported by Councilman Fleming, that we excuse the absence of Councilman Teets this evening. Discussion. The vote, Ms. Bittner?
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Motion passes. Our first order of business is certificates of recognition and special presentations. And C1 is the Transit Center Grand Opening Ceremony recognition for Tuesday, October the 14th, 2014. I asked City Manager Kishnick if he would provide me a list of those that helped organize our wonderful event that we had on the 14th to celebrate the grand opening of the Transit Center. And if you will look at the list that's on the screen, you will note that this was something that was put together by many, many of our employees. Almost every department that the city has is recognized. There are so many, I don't think I should announce all of the names this evening, but on behalf of the City Council, I just want to recognize all of those individuals. City Manager Kishnick, thanks from the council that on such short notice that they could put together such a wonderful program, one of the best I think that I've been to. They made us all look very good. And if you look at building operations, engineering, the city manager's office, public works, parks and rec, streets, our city attorney, the fire department, information technology, and we noticed that the police department was well represented there also. But one of the comments I think that I got from everyone was the little boxes that were put together that had the little trinkets and stuff in it. And I hope I have this right, but I believe, was it Lisa Burnham and Tanya Braden that put that together and had that available? Are those the two names, or do I have that wrong?
No, Tanya from HR, you do have right. And then building operations, Laura Campbell. That's Lisa Burnham's sister, though. And probably Lisa was involved, and Maggie. They all are phenomenal at what they do.
I know. I got so many compliments on that packet that was put together, and I don't think we had enough for everybody. But if you were lucky enough to get one, it was a great item. But just thanks to everybody on short notice for putting that together. It was a great event, a very positive event. And I think I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention our sponsors. And they were so important. We had sponsors for the Transit Center, but I'd like to read the list of our sponsors if I could. Comerica, Magna, Meritor, Carlisle Wharton, and these companies helped with the grand opening ceremony. MDOT, Amtrak, HRC, Newman Smith, U.S. Department of Transportation, Detroit Chamber, and Tools Clark were all sponsors that made this a great event, and I've gotten nothing but positive comments from everyone that I've talked to. And would anybody else on council like to comment on this? So, thank you, City Manager Kishnick, on behalf of City Council and all the hard work that everyone did. Thank you. C2 is a presidential disaster declaration update with an introduction by Kristen Diag, our emergency management specialist. Good evening, Kristen. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Good evening to you. There you go. Well, I'm sure by now you all know what I'm going to be talking about this evening. It's no surprise I'm here to talk about the flood event that occurred in August. I'm happy to announce that the President on September 25th declared a disaster for the severe storms and flooding that occurred from August 11th to the 13th. This declaration allows the release for federal aid to eligible individuals, households, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and government agencies that were affected. For those who are eligible, there are several types of assistance available. Federal assistance can provide up to $32,400 for individuals and households, and a minimum of 75% for damages incurred by government agencies and private nonprofit organizations. The state can decide how much to fund of the 25% that is not covered by FEMA. The U.S. Small Business Administration is a federal government agency that can provide low-interest loans. And finally, the City of Troy is providing support centers that are established where specialists can provide guidance through the application process and answer any questions that citizens may have. First, I'll touch in detail about individuals, households, and businesses that are eligible for individual assistance. The goal for this program is to repair homes to a safe and sanitary living or functioning condition, and not to return a home to the condition before the disaster. This process on the screen explains how important it is to apply for both the FEMA program and the U.S. Small Business Administration loans. After applying for both programs, the SBA, Small Business Administration, can refer you back to FEMA for assistance that was not initially offered in the beginning of this process. FEMA housing assistance includes temporary housing, money to rent a different place to live, repair for structural parts, sewage systems, HVAC systems, and utilities. And under rare conditions, with limited funds, replacement can be offered. Finally, semi-permanent or permanent housing construction is given for unusual situation where no other type of housing assistance is available. Oops, sorry. Here is listed other uninsured disaster-related necessary expenses and serious needs that could be eligible for funding. The U.S. Small Business Administration offers 3 types of loans. Both homeowners and renters can apply for the first loan, the home disaster loans, to repair or replace damaged real estate or personal property. Another loan, the second type, is for businesses and private nonprofit organizations to apply to cover damaged inventory, supplies, real estate, machinery, and equipment. Oh. Yeah. Oh. And finally, the economic injury disaster loan can provide working capital to meet ordinary and necessary financial obligations. The deadline to register for both FEMA and the U.S. Small Business Administration aid programs is November 24th. State and local governments and private nonprofit organizations can apply also for public assistance. Expenses that are eligible for reimbursement are listed here. As part of the cost share program, FEMA will cover no less than 75% eligible costs for emergency measures and permanent restoration. The state will determine how shares are split for the remaining 25%. Listed here is what the city of Troy is applying for, eligibility for reimbursement for what these items were damaged. In addition to these items, the emergency protective measures, which includes road closures and other response efforts, are also eligible. And a rough estimate for damage totals for the city of Troy is at least $240,000. The deadline for us to complete this application process for federal aid is November 15th. And finally, I'll talk about disaster survivor assistance centers. These support centers are established for those that were affected by the flood to meet face-to-face with specialists from federal agencies and other organizations. A recovery support site is currently established in the Troy Community Center for a short period of time. FEMA representatives will help disaster survivors register for financial assistance, learn about the status of existing applications, and receive other assistance information. A disaster recovery center for Oakland County is established for a long period of time in Ferndale. Specialists from FEMA, SBA, and other organizations will be available to assist with full service registration, application status check, and appeal process and other services. And finally, residents who want to reduce the risk of property from future storms and to protect against winds, floods, and fires could look into mitigation measures that may help protect electrical systems, furnaces, and other appliances at the Home Depot on Coolidge Highway in Troy. Just a little update. As of today, since the presidential declaration on September 25th, over 45,000 applications have been approved by FEMA. $79 million was approved for individuals, $61 million is for housing, and $18 million in other assistance needs. It's important to remember to apply for assistance by November 24th, and you can apply for FEMA program by going to disasterassistance.gov or calling that number on the screen. You can also apply for SBA program aid by going to that website, and for more information you could always go to our city website.
Great.
Any questions?
Questions for Christian?
Nope.
Thanks. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks for the update. You take care of making sure we get our reimbursement, correct?
Oh, I'll try hard.
Okay. C3 is an introduction by Cindy Stewart, the Community Affairs Director, for Employees for a Cause donation. Good evening, Cindy.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. It's my pleasure today to present a check for $830 for Troy People Concerned. I'm very proud of the fact that I serve as Secretary of the Board, and this is our President, Richard Snyder. So to receive it, and I don't know if he wants to say a couple things about Troy People Concerned?
Just a couple of things.
You could use the microphone, please.
Okay, this one's not on, right? Just a couple of things.
Thank you.
As Cindy mentioned, my name's Dick Snyder. I'm the president of Troy People Concerned. I want to take this opportunity to thank all the city employees who so graciously helped support us. This is our 40th year of operation within the city. During those 40 years, we have helped hundreds of families within the city who were in a short-term crisis situation. And we have one major fundraiser every year. That's our pasta dinner at the San Marino Club. The next one's scheduled for April 16th, 2015. And if you'd like more information about us, our website address is www.troypeopleconcern.org. And again, thank you to all the city employees for helping to support us.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy.
You're welcome.
C4 is, I think I'm going to meet Suzanne Lancaster down at the podium if I could, because I'd like to recognize her as the Domestic Violence Hero Award recipient. So I'll be right there.
Okay.
I know you didn't want to do this, but we are really honored this evening, and on behalf of the City Council, I just want to say that the Oakland County Coordinating Council Against Domestic Violence has a awards ceremony each year. And this year, I'm looking at their program here, and there was only one person that actually received the Domestic Violence Hero Award, and that is Sue Lancaster, the City of Troy Assistant Attorney. And if I could, I just want to read a little bit to tell you what this is really all about. The Oakland County Coordinating Council Against Domestic Violence, which is OCCCADV, has presented Assistant City Attorney Sue Lancaster with the 2014 Domestic Violence Hero Award, which was presented on October the 8th, 2014. The OCCCADV was formed in 1994 in order to develop and sustain a coordinated, broad-based community response to domestic violence, and we're all hearing about that in today's news, especially in the field of sports right now. Members include judges, prosecutors, law enforcement officers, legislators, and other government officials, social security providers, educators, healthcare providers, clergy members, business people, and other concerned members of the community. The OCCCADV sponsors projects concentrated in education, systems coordination, public awareness, and collaboration. It's a great organization. Sue was nominated by Troy Police Detective Christine Schuler and Alicia Brodart, who was a victim of a domestic violence. The City Attorney's Office, including legal assistants Jackie Bolt and Kathy Bobek, spent a lot of time providing assurances, information, and resources to the victim. And Sue successfully prosecuted the assault and battery case against Ms. Brockhart's boyfriend. Through these discussions, the victim revealed that she was not the defendant's first victim, but that others were fearful to prosecute. Sue contacted each of the other victims and encouraged them to come in and testify. Based upon the cooperation of all three victims, the defendant's boyfriend ultimately pleaded guilty to assault and battery. Detective Schuler thoroughly investigated this matter and was very helpful in preparing this difficult case for trial. And having been involved in these, they're very difficult. Many times the victim doesn't want to cooperate, as we all know, and it takes a special person to really recognize what they need to do and to make sure that the prosecution gets completed. So on behalf of Troy City Council, Sue, it's really my pleasure to present to you this 2014 Hero Award for outstanding service to domestic violence survivors. Thank you so much for all you do for the city and especially the victims of domestic violence. Thank you, Sue.
This is quite an honor to be here tonight, and I thank you very much. I'd like to thank City Council, City Administration for being very supportive of our office, which allows us to carry through with victims in this nature. I appreciate all of you being behind us, literally and figuratively, and appreciate everything the police department has done when we need to work with them to get our victims to court, etc. Appreciate everybody's cooperation. So this is an award on behalf of all of us. Thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, there are no carryover items, no public hearings this evening. I don't see that anyone has signed up for public comment for items on the agenda from Troy residents and businesses. There are no postponed items, so we will move to regular business. Boards and committee appointments. There are no mayoral appointments this evening, so I will give the microphone to Mayor Pro Tem Henderson for a city council appointment.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to resolve to appoint Timothy McGee to the Parks and Rec Board for a term expiring September 30th, 2017.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Henderson, supported by Councilman Pennington, that we appoint Timothy McGee to the Parks and Recreation Board for the term that expires 9/30/2017. Discussion. The vote, Ms. Bittner?
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes, motion passes. I2 is board and committee nominations. There are no mayoral nominations this evening. I will give the microphone to Mayor Pro Tem Henderson for council nominations.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolved that the Troy City Council hereby forwards Terry Knight for a term expiring September 30th, 2017, to the Animal Control Appeal Board. It's a vacancy that was held by Steve Toth, who resigned recently.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Henderson and supported by Councilman Fleming that we nominate Terry Knight to the Animal Control Appeal Board for the term to expire 9/30/2017. Discussion. The vote, Ms. Bittner?
Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Motion passes. I3 is a request for closed session. Councilman Fleming?
Resolved that Troy City Council shall meet in closed session as permitted by MCL 15.268, pending litigation, Allstate Insurance Company versus City of Troy and Troy Fire Department, and MCL 15.268H, MCL 15.243G.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Fleming, supported by Councilman Campbell, that we meet in closed session as read this evening. Discussion. The vote, Ms. Bittner?
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Motion passes. I4 is the next agenda item. We will take no action this evening until the next agenda. That takes us to the consent agenda. Is there an item that a council member wishes to pull this evening? Councilman Campbell.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to pull J6 from the list right now.
Anyone else wish to pull a consent agenda item? Somebody like to move the resolution without J6? Councilman Fleming.
Resolved that Troy City Council hereby approves all items on the consent agenda as presented with the exception of item J6, which shall be considered after consent agenda items.
Support.
Moved by Councilman Fleming, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Henderson, that we approve all items on the consent agenda as presented with the exception of J6. Discussion. The vote, Ms. Bittner?
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Yes.
Motion passes. Councilman Campbell.
Yes, for J6, if we could, I'd like to move that to our next scheduled meeting to give us a chance to look at those dates, make sure there's no major conflicts with schedules next year.
Okay. Moved by Councilman Campbell, supported by Councilman Fleming, that we postpone J6 till the next council meeting so that we can further look at the dates for next year's council meetings. Discussion? The vote, Ms. Bittner?
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Motion passes. There are no memorandums and future council agenda items this evening, and so we will move to public comment for items not on the agenda from Troy residents and businesses. Our first speaker is Jonathan Yelkub, Troy resident and business owner. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jonathan Yakub. I own the hookah lounge on Long Lake in John R. It's known as Blue Moon Cafe. Back in May of 2013, as most of you may know, the city passed an ordinance forcing our businesses to close at midnight. And there are 3 lounges in the state over some discrepancies of a few situations that the lounges had outside of their establishments. Now, when the ordinance was originally created, the council said 6 months, and they were going to, go back and look at the situation. However, because the city of Auburn Hills followed suit in the same ordinance and shut down at 12 o'clock, the city therefore thought that more cities would follow, and that it was inappropriate to give us our hours back, basically. And now, here I am today. Auburn Hills has already overturned their ordinance, and Troy is currently the only city in Michigan, if not the United States in general, that has such an ordinance on hookah lounges or this business. Not only is it not fair to my business, but it's also not fair to my customers that want to come to my establishment later on in the evening, but they can't because I have to shut down at midnight. Over the past year, I've lost, and I have financial records showing that I've lost over $20,000 since this ordinance has been established. So it does really hurt my family, and this is my personal business. I saved up a lot of money to do this. We're a nighttime business. We don't cause any problems for the city or its community or anybody around it. We don't make people come in. They choose to, come to this establishment. I don't force anybody. I haven't had a problem with the city. I've never been in trouble because of my business. My establishment or my staff has never caused any situations. We've never been in any type of trouble. It's just situations that are out of our control, which if you look at now, I haven't had a single problem in my establishment, and I can even speak for the other 2 in the city within the past year. You guys probably haven't even heard anything from us. I've emailed the council, I've emailed the police department, I've done everything in my power that I could do. All I'm here to do today is to ask council to consider maybe changing the ordinance. All I'm asking, honestly, I want 2 hours, just till 2 a.m. instead of midnight, and that's all I need, to be honest. I don't need anything else, just 2 hours, Monday through Sunday, till 2 a.m. Please, thank you.
Thank you. Next is James Savage, Troy resident. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. October 1st, I attended a symposium on Big Beaver pedestrian traffic. Most of the staff members know my opinion on pedestrian traffic from discussions over the last 15 years. For many years, while John Zerlag was city manager, the focus and spending was on Big Beaver. In fact, we spent $100,000 on a Big Beaver study. We spent over $2 million to change the Big Beaver Rochester Road intersection, which did not improve the traffic flow at all. And shortly after that, we had to bail out the DDA by backing the bond issue. And Mr. Kishnick deserves credit for getting us out of that sticky mess that he inherited. Before proceeding with this, Council should look at the history of Big Beaver and how successful it was before the DDA was formed, and how financially disaster it has been since. I recall one member of DDA likened Big Beaver to the Champs-Élysées. I think it's time to stop dreaming. Are we going back to the days of spending millions of dollars on studies while our kids don't have a safe passage to school, the school bus, or the library and the community center? I drive along Big Beaver on a regular basis. There is little or no pedestrian traffic on Big Beaver. The demand is just not there. And how will this improve the lives of Troy residents? If demand were to materialize, the business community will see the advantage of building overpasses and paying for them. We are supposed to learn from history, and I suggest a good look at the history of Big Beaver and the DDA over the last 25 years should provide some valuable lessons. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes those that have signed up to speak this evening. Next is council referrals. There are none this evening, so we will move to council comments. Council comments this evening. I just have a comment regarding what Jonathan Jacob had to say this evening. And I wonder if I could get consensus from the rest of the council to get another report. I would like, if I could, from the city attorney's office, if in fact we are the only one in the state that is enforcing this ordinance as is, and could we get another report from the police department? I've gotten several emails from, I hope, Mr. Jacob. They've all been cordial. They've all been professional. He came here this evening. He was cordial. He was professional. I think we do owe him another answer. So if I could get consensus to ask for another report.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other council comments this evening? Next is reports. Anyone have any comments on the reports on the agenda this evening? I don't see that anyone signed up for public comment for items on or not on the agenda from members of the public outside of Troy. There are no study items this evening, so we will adjourn to closed session. Thank you for coming this evening.